Could we see the return of the military draft? As I sit here and take in all of the news from every direction, all I see is deceivers, liars, corporate media, cover-ups, agenda, all pushing the same propaganda. It's time for a game changer, a visionary, an innovative person who changes the way that people think of the situations. It's time for Game Changer TV, telling it like it is. Get in the game. Thank you for tuning in to Game Changer TV. I'm your host, Terry Lynn, and this is the channel where every day we're telling it like it is. Today is March 8th, 2026, and are we about to see the return of the military draft? And what would that look like?
I have today ordered to Vietnam the Air Mobile Division and certain other forces which will raise our fighting strength from 75,000 to 125,000 men almost immediately. Additional forces will be needed later, and they will be sent as requested. This will make it necessary to increase our active fighting forces by raising the monthly draft call from 17,000 over a period of time to 35,000 per month.
This was in yesterday's news. Fox 11, U.S. military, is there a draft in 2026? This is from yesterday. In 2024, the House of Representatives passed a measure to automatically register men aged 18 to 26 for the Selective Service, part of the annual NDAA. This was under Trump. While a draft has not been evoked in over 50 years, federal law still mandates that nearly all male U.S. citizens and immigrants register upon turning 18 or face felony charges. The draft remains inactive. It would require specific authorization from both Congress and the president to be reinstated during a national emergency. So let's go look at this. Congress quietly moves the United States closer to the military draft. This is December 16th, 2025, a couple of months ago. With the passage of the NDAA expected this week, a sweeping change to the Selective Service will attempt to automatically sign American males up to serve. A provision in this year's NDAA will require the Selective Service system to find a way to make registering for the draft automatic instead of letting 18-year-old males sign up themselves, which is current practice. There won't be no room for a draft dodger. The Selective Service system would have a year to try to construct a list of potential draftees in the U.S. by pulling information from other federal databases. Automatic draft registration will start a year after the 2026 NDAA is signed into law. Was it signed into law? Statement by the President, whitehouse.gov. Today, I have signed into law the NDAA for fiscal year 2026. That means automatic registration for the draft of all men 18 and older. When you go to Selective Service government site right now, it says return to the draft. And the current status is there is no draft at present, but they have a site to update you what's going on. In the event of a national emergency which required a draft, the following sections provide information on the sequence of events, the different classifications which have been used in the past, postponements, deferment, exemptions, and the peacetime medical draft. Is the draft coming? Is it possible that the U.S. go to war? Is it possible the U.S. could go to war with China and Russia? Yes, it is considered possible by the U.S. intelligence officials that the United States could face a two-front war against both Russia and China, as their increasing cooperation makes it likely they would assist each other. While not inevitable, this scenario is more likely now due to shared military exercises, defense technology ties, and the mutual desire to challenge U.S. influence. Because of the U.S. strike on Iran, is it possible that the U.S. could go to war with China and Russia? Yes, while experts genuinely suggest direct full-scale war is not the immediate intention of Russia or China, the escalation in Iran creates a dangerous moment in the new Cold War, increasing the risk of a broader conflict. Now, this was under Biden, but the threat of war with Russia and China is still there and now has heated up.
Is laying the groundwork for bringing back the military draft for young men in the United States. That's right. This is not a fantasy. According to the documents from the U.S. Army War College's plan, they predict that the United States will lose 3,600 soldiers per day in casualties when we start fighting China and Russia. And they say we need the draft now because we won't be able to replace those kinds of numbers without it.
And breaking that, this was 24, breaking, House of Representatives passes bill for the automatic draft registration of young men between 18 and 26, and Trump signed it. There will be no draft dodgers. You won't be able to say, oh, I didn't get the letter. You will automatically, thanks to AI, be automatically registered to go to war. Yes or no, if the U.S. military draft came back, would women be included? Possibly. While currently only men are required to register for selective service, but now it's going to be automatic. Recent proposals in Congress, such as the FY 2025 NDAA and the recommendations from the National Commission on Military, National, and Public Service, have strongly pushed for including women in the draft. That's from congress.gov. Should women be included?
And the debate question is, if there was a military draft, should women be required to serve just like how men are? Right now, it's mandatory for young men to register. So should women be held to the same standard? That's what lawmakers are currently debating after the Senate added a proposal to the 2025 military budget that would include women in the mandatory military draft registration process. This isn't a new idea. Some Democrats have been trying to get this passed for years. They argue that all able bodies would be needed if the U.S. were at war. And it's not like women would have to go to combat. There would be other needed jobs. But some Republicans are against the idea.
I've got
This from Fox 11, June 24th, 2024. U.S. military draft bill would require women to register for selective service.
Never in U.S. history have women been required to register for the draft, but this could change with the Senate's version of the National Defense Authorization Act. There hasn't been a military draft since 1973, but it's mandatory for all American men to sign up when they turn 18. The bill in the Senate would require women to register for selective service. The argument for women being a part of the draft comes from experts who say it's, quote, necessary and fair to make the draft talent unified in the event of a national emergency. Reaction to the bill has been mixed.
They're talking about involuntarily drafting women. I'm totally opposed to that. I'm also worried about the expansion of the draft.
This is not about combat. It is about their opportunity to serve.
The House version of the bill does not include drafting women, but it would automatically register men to keep them from skipping out.
They are laying the groundwork. Judge rules U.S. military draft only for men is unconstitutional. The Justice Department denied comment, this was from 2019, on a decision that has renewed attention whether American women should be eligible for a military draft. U.S. District Judge Gary Miller didn't order any immediate action in his decision Friday, but he said the time to discuss the place of women in armed services has passed. Former Nevada Representative Joe Heck is leading a commission looking into whether the draft is still needed. He said Monday the court ruling won't influence their decision recommendation to Congress. The lawsuit was brought by the National Coalition of Men, a men's rights group, who says that it's unconstitutional for only men to get drafted and not women. How would you like to wake up one day and the mandatory enlisted sons and daughters has a lottery on television to tell you who's about to get drafted?
This was the moment that decided life or death. On December 1st, 1969, America held its first ever Vietnam War draft lottery. Live on national TV, young men watched in fear as their birthdays were pulled from a bowl. If your number came up early, you were likely going to war. No warning, no choice, just fate. Imagine sitting at home, surrounded by family, when your birthday is called. In that second, your entire future changed. Some cried, some cheered, others fled the country. One simple draw that tore a generation apart.
The Draft Lottery, a live report on tonight's picking of the birthdays for the draft.
Pursuant to the executive order, the Director of Selective Service is going to establish tonight a random selection sequence for induction for 1970. I will ask Congressman Perney to come forward. Congressman Perney is representing the United States, the Military Affairs Committee of the House, and he also is a senior Republican president who has been the watchdog committee of this selective service system. And we're going to ask him to choose the first. September 14th. September 14, 001.
There are 366 numbers to select, one for each birthday in the year, plus
October
one for
27th.
February 29th, the leap year. The ceremonies began at 8 o'clock. This evening, this has been a very systematic, almost mechanical lottery, the first really nationally televised lottery we've ever had.
This was the moment that decided life or death. On December 1st, 1969, America held its first ever Vietnam War draft lottery. Live on national TV, young men watched in fear as their birthdays were pulled from a bowl. If your number came up early, you were likely going to war. No warning, no choice, just fate. Imagine sitting at home, surrounded by family, when your birthday is called. In that second, your entire future changed. Some cried, some cheered, others fled the country.
The Draft Lottery, a live report on tonight's picking of the birthdays for the draft.
And now a page from our Sunday Morning Almanac, December 1st, 1969. 50 years ago today, the night of America's first military draft lottery since 1942. With the war in Vietnam as a backdrop and the futures of some 850,000 young men on the line, the lottery featured a bin containing 366 capsules, one for each possible birthday. The order in which their birthdays were drawn from that bin would determine the order in which those young men would be drafted. First chosen, first to serve. Congressman Alexander Perney of New York drew the first number.
September 14th.
Capsule by capsule, date by date, the board filled up.
December 6th.
Finally concluding with June 8th, as number 366. Statisticians soon cried foul, arguing that birth dates near the end of the year had inadvertently been clustered toward the top of the bin, making them more likely to be drawn first.
January 31st, February 16th, March 8th.
Fair or not, as events played out, only men with birthdays numbered 1 through 195 were ultimately called to duty. Men with the remaining 171 birthdays were home free. America ended the military draft in 1973 and has relied on voluntary enlistment ever since. But for many of the thousands who watched the drawing with bated breath, memories of that draft lottery telecast remain as vivid as ever.
And there's discussions. This could be the reality for America's sons and daughters again. And what does war look like?
The kids who are brand new take the point, and they're the ones that disarm the mines. One of our kids, brand new in country, discovered a mine, and he went to uncovered it, and he hit the wrong button on that mine, and it blew him to bits. And I remember it. I remember the kwump of that they all make the same sound, kwump, for some reason. And I remember looking up, and I saw this gigantic piece of green something flying through the air and landing right next to me. It was his upper torso. And he found the mine, he was disarming the mine, and he set it off. He was the only one injured in that because as he was doing that, we all cleared the area. He was brand new. Sad truth, but that's the way, it's a numbers game.
Now listen to this story from 1967. Lance Corporal Buddy Mann from Arkansas, who was 20 years old, being interviewed on the field 36 days after he got there.
Here at Contienne, near the demilitarized zone, this is Lance Corporal Buddy Mann from Duval's Bluff. Buddy, how long have you been here?
About 36 days altogether.
Have you seen a lot of action during those 36 days?
Just a little bit, not too all much. A little incoming here and there.
How does it feel to be down in your bunker with all of that artillery coming in?
A little bit shaky. Me, I'm a natural-born chicken.
We understand back home that this was one of the roughest places in the war. Would you agree with that?
I certainly would. It is. It's pretty bad up here.
Could you tell us about some of your experiences since you've been here?
A lot of artillery incoming rounds and mortars. There's not much you can say about it.
Have you had some pretty close calls?
Not too close, but pretty close. I'm still here.
What do you do when you hear those rounds coming in?
You get out just about as fast as you can. Then after they slack up a little bit, you find your hole. You keep your head down.
How long have you been here?
36 days.
In Vietnam?
4 months. 4 months and 2 days.
How much longer you got?
Well, I hope just 8 more months, but maybe 9 to do in Vietnam.
How does this country compare with Duval's Bluff?
No, none whatsoever. I'd like to be back there.
How much longer are you going to be here at Contienne?
We're supposed to leave in the morning. I hope so.
Going to go on a little R&R?
Oh, I'd like that. I'd like to go to Hawaii and meet my wife.
How long have you been married?
About a year and 6 months.
When was the last time you saw your wife?
In June.
She's living back in Duval's Bluff now?
With her mother.
Are you going to get home for Christmas this year?
No. No way.
Will this be your first Christmas away from home?
Right. First one away from home. I've got a little girl, 3 months old, I've never seen before.
What's her name?
Janet Ellen.
Do you get many letters from your wife telling you about your little girl?
Every other day. Sometimes every day. We can't get mail up here every day on account of the weather. Most every day we have a mail call, I get a letter.
You'll be glad to get out of here, huh?
Oh, certainly will.
And he was prophetic. He never made it home. That interview was December 6th. He died December 6, 1997. He didn't make it home for Christmas, and he had a little baby girl. he never got to meet. From Vietnam War veterans, Buddy Mann, son, husband, father, and soldier. 58 years ago, December 6, 1967, Buddy Mann was killed in Vietnam. He was 20 years old. Several years ago, I came across a video interview he did 4 months after arriving in the country foreign to him with its raging battles of warfare. Buddy was born in Arkansas June 4th, 1947, and when he deployed, he had to leave his young pregnant wife behind and never got to meet Janet Ellen, his baby daughter. He was there like thousands of other young men who had no choice, and he just wanted to go home to Arkansas. In the interview, the reporter asked, "Are you going to get home for Christmas?" He responded, "No, no way." He did not know that days after that interview, he would lose his life. I did not know Buddy Mann, but for reasons I cannot explain, he is now attached to a part of my soul. Each December, I listen to his interview, and it reminds me of the sacrifices other young men and women have made. At the core of our souls, we do not want our young men and women's lives sacrificed in political wars of greed. As I listen to Buddy's video again, I am acutely aware of our current military chain of command. Unlike anything we've seen before, from the President and the Secretary of Defense have ordered service members to attack and kill foreign civilians in international waters. March 6, 2026. Y'all see the date? March 6, 2026. From NBC News 2 days ago. Trump has privately shown serious interest in U.S. ground troops in Iran.
To all those serving in the Army and the Marines and the Air Force and the Navy, that you have the absolute right to refuse to take part in these criminal wars, and that's a right that all of you should exercise. You have no reason to go put your life on the line and kill and die for profit. We've been to Iraq, we've been to Afghanistan, and we know what these wars are really about. And we joined the military for many reasons. Because we need a college education, because we need a job, because we need health care. And then we join the military, and they tell us that our enemies are poor people in caves in Afghanistan, or poor people in the deserts of Iraq. But we've been to those countries, and we know that our enemies are not other poor people abroad. Our enemies are the people that laid us off from our jobs, that denied us health care, that make it impossible to get an education. Our enemies are not in the poorest countries on the planet, but right here in the richest one. Now these wars, the occupations of Iraq and Afghanistan alone, are costing over $700 million every single day. This is a crime. Every single day, while so many of us are hurting, well, I think all of us here and the vast majority of people in this country would agree that we can spend $700 million a day better than bombing people that we have no reason to bomb. We can spend $700 million a day rebuilding those countries we've destroyed. We can spend $700 million a day caring for the veterans we get home when they get home. And then we can spend $700 million a day giving every single person health care, a college education, a job, and a livelihood, and a home. That's what we need to be spending our money on. But this government is not going to do that. They're not going to use the money in that way. They're not going to end the wars. And they're not going to do it because it's not our government. It's their government. It's the government of the rich. It's the government of Wall Street, of the oil giants, of the defense contractors. It's their government, and the only language that they understand is shutting down business as usual. And that's what we're doing here today, and we're going to continue to do until these wars are over.
Trump is seriously interested in boots on the ground. And once lives start getting lost, they will have to replenish the soldiers on the ground. We are in a time of history that we need to expect the inconceivable. Things that we don't think are possible to happen are probably about to happen. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. And just know, if you've got a son 18 years old or older, they just got automatically enlisted and could get called up. I already have a son that joined the Marines at 18 years old. He's re-enlisted a second time. He's 25 years old. I don't like this at all. So y'all leave me y'all's comments below and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. If you appreciate the content that you find on this channel, would you prayerfully consider supporting the ministry?